to get things going.
I found the record button.
It's in progress, man. I think that's a step forward.
Yeah. I just suddenly decided I wanted a new hobby when I retired. I grew up, I went into computers as a kid in the early sort of CPM and DOS days
Yeah.
in about 88, 89 when I was, and, and I was always infatuated with it, even though it was only with me for a few, maybe 4 or 5 years. Just the sheer, I don't know, simplicity of it.
Yeah.
And I went through my life just doing normal IT stuff. And then 2 years ago, I just retired early, and I wanted to do something, but I didn't want to collect a load of. I didn't want to collect a load of old boxes like IBMs or
Yeah.
PCs. I just didn't want to do that. I wanted something that was a bit different.
Yeah.
And also wanted to start soldering, which is something I've always wanted to do. So the S100 thing sort of combined a number of things in one bag, and
Yeah.
I didn't realize once you'd opened the Pandora's box how messy it was going to get so quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm very, very similar to that. Like I was saying, it was just something that I started off to get my soldering skills up. I started buying the kits that you could build the different, the MSI from High Nibble, the different was it RC 2014 kits. They seem to be popular. Multiple boards, it's just start with a little backplane and multiple boards, it was just great, just getting the soldering skills going. So I'm much more comfortable than I was. Still not very good with surface mount. I can do it, but I'm really not good with it. I mean, but that I work on.
Oh, I'm only just literally starting to solder myself, and I've got a big breadboard that I just soldered loads of little odds and sods onto a breadboard, and
Yeah,
just to literally get the fine tip skill.
yeah, oh
That's
yeah,
the thing I'm worried about. It's that fine tip skill, because if I blow a hole in one of these boards, it's an expensive, it's an expensive error. So
yeah.
I'm really nervous.
Yeah, or if you're messing around with one of the older boards, that board, it's not mu it's I'm a little older than the board, but not much. Some of these boards are that old. It was kind of funny as my brother and I we were working on something. He says, well, the pieces we're replacing are 50, 60 years, they're just ancient, we
Hmm.
so that was, it was kind of interesting. So I don't want to hold up Walt. I don't know if you want to
Yeah, sorry, we
start your
got off
meeting and
there, didn't
stuff.
we?
Yeah, I'll keep talking all night. So
Yeah. Well, actually, the idea is for us to discuss what we're doing and like where we get stuck so that we might find help to get unstuck with problems. And, in the process, we'll learn something. The other group meetings, they they're so far advanced that they don't understand that we need to discuss these things a little bit more in a more plain language and things like that.
yeah,
Solve our beginner problems. I mean,
yeah,
I grew up, with tube stuff. I was soldering circuits on, little square metal chassis with the tube sockets underneath, just routing
yeah,
wire from tube socket to tube socket. So and then I worked as a tech for control data for a while, and there the women that made the circuit boards for control data, they taught us guys that wanted to learn how to solder the right way. So I learned how to be a really good solderer there. But and I'm still good at it when I can see the thing. So one of my neighbors gave me a great big magnifying glass because she couldn't find the batteries for it, and I actually haven't been able to find batteries for it either. It takes a weird battery. But the magnifying glass itself is helping me to at least see the little holes so I can stick a resistor lead in them and that. But that's a slow process. But anyway, who wants to start out with a problem or a question?
I've got too many to do that. I can't possibly start in that way because I mean, I can see Patrick over in the corner there, and already he threw a number of questions on a post of mine today regarding that SBC board. And if I'm honest, I think I could talk to Patrick for about an hour just on that alone with his ROM thing that he came up with about the VROMs and the RROMs, because that's already cascaded something that has gone from one day to another, and Pandora's box is open in just that thing alone. I just want to hear, to be honest, from the people that are doing it out there, that first of all, I can actually achieve something. And because I know that just literally, so from what I'm seeing now, that is so far away. That is literally, just it's such a big project that I didn't realize when I literally bought a blank board from the USA, which is that version 4 board, and put it in front of me. I suddenly became quite overwhelmed by how big the world of S100 is. That's for me. I just want to really get on here to meet some faces and ask some people there that I hope I can lean on you guys in the future, because I'm going to need it.
Have you gotten on the Altair group website yet?
Yes, yeah, I'm on the S100 website. You mean the S100
S100
computers
group or the Altair group?
Oh, I think I've got the link to the S100 computers website, which I'm getting quite a lot of information on, which is where I got the information about the SBC board that Patrick is working on, the SBC 100 board. But I'm trying not to go too deep, because to be honest with you, there's so much information at the moment that oh, thank you. I've seen that come up there, Walt, that at the moment, I'm just trying to find my feet, I think is what I would say. I'm just trying to find my feet at the moment.
Okay. Yeah. Well, anyway, I guess I'll start with a question that I put a comment on someone else's post on Facebook a few days ago about regulated power on the Altair bus. And then that was shut down because my understanding was the power supply is supposed to put out regulated power. But because when I built my Altair 8800 back in 1975, it had a bridge rectifier and stuff like that on it. And so it was DC voltages, which I considered regulated.
No, absolutely not. Just because it's DC doesn't mean it's regulated at all. It was designed to use a special transformer that provided the +8 unregulated and the plus and minus 15, 16, something like that, that's also unregulated. And then each S100 board has its own regulator. And there's one big reason for that, or there's a lot of reasons, but the big reason is as you insert, if it had regulated power, and my very first S100 machine that I handmade, it had regulated 5 volts instead of the 8 volts. And every time I plugged a new memory board in, like an 8K memory board, the voltage dropped. And I'd have to readjust the external power supply to bring the voltage back up again. So you start plugging in, several 8K memory boards, and the voltage would drop quite substantially. And that's the main reason why it's got an unregulated, or I think that's the main reason why it always used unregulated on the bus and then regulated on each individual board.
Okay, then the regulation is basically just those LM 7805s and 7912, stuff like that.
Yep.
So that's the actual regulation.
Those are the regulators, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's the old ones with the 7805 and 7812, 7912. And they were pretty inefficient themselves. So people have started using newer, more efficient individual regulators on each board. And that's why on some of John's boards and some of the others, you see these, what's the brand?
Oh, the Pololu.
Pololu, yeah.
Yeah, Pololu and other regulators that are much more efficient, which helps a lot.
Yeah, the when I first started building some boards, and everybody was talking about those. Let's see, let me go get one. I can't remember.
There you go.
I was thinking I was hiding my background, but I guess looking at everybody else's, except for the beautiful beach scene, my stuff really is kind of isn't too bad. Yeah. By the way, there's your box.
My box.
Oh, right there. Look right behind me.
The cabinet.
The cabin, yeah, the
Cabinet.
box, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't get too impressed. I didn't have the cash for a full Altair board, so that is Altair-Duino full size board in it, with the whole whole kit in there. But it's set up. Just right now, I don't have the power to run into. I just glued and put it together, and then you probably might not be able to see, but I used brass corner pieces and screwed them in to kind of tighten up. So the front panel is not glued in; it's held in by these brass corner pieces,
Oh,
and
okay.
the rest of it's glued in and not the top. So this way I can take it off by unscrewing a few of these things. But the corner pieces, I originally used tape when I was gluing it, but the corner pieces brought it all together. They're actually really nice.
Yeah,
Came out, but good
that
job.
reminds me. Yeah, don't glue the top on because
Yeah. Oh, thanks for the warning. No, I was good, man. I do enough woodworking. So the brass things came into mind because my brother, again, I keep talking about my brother.
That's kind of
He
a
has an
neat
old,
idea.
yeah, he had an old, a really old wooden work box, and he had to buy the replacement um chrome at corners on them because it was missing a couple of them. And
Right.
that's I saw. And I grabbed one of those. Said, oh, this is going to work really good. And the only thing I had to do is on each, since this particular brand I bought for brass, I had to shave down the corner. The point of the corner was hitting it. So once I shaved down, it slipped in and a couple of screws, and it's there. So I want to say thank you. That came out really nice. Again, I have the rest of the pieces to put the little backplane inside it and then get all the cables. I had a whole extra setup of all the pieces. That's kind of why I went that way.
Yeah, the way I've done it is I get everything pressed forward so all the LEDs are into the front panel and that.
Yeah,
And then I just drill 2 holes through the backplane through the bottom of the box to bolt the backplane in position there.
yeah,
Now you can at least just remove those little out corner pieces so you
yeah,
can work on your front
yeah.
panel.
Yeah, I think I got a package of, I don't mean to steal the meeting. I got a package of 12 of them for like $10 from Amazon, and
Yeah.
there are a whole bunch of different styles. There are fancy ones and stuff. These are just, well, I can just real
Well, I,
quick.
I was looking at maybe changing the design to put little L-shaped brackets on the inside that would,
Yeah,
and you would just have
so
screw on the sides to go into the L bracket, so you could remove the front if you need
yeah,
work on the front panel.
yeah, so that, ooh.
Yeah.
um, yeah, you just start touching things and nothing's ever gonna work. So again, I just wanted to share that. It was something Walter designed the case, cut it, burned in different things for me. He did, the different logos and some different codes for testing and stuff, and he really did a nice job. And the whole top of it, it's screwed down now, so I can't show you the top, but the whole top of it has instructions for other things. It's done really nice. And I
Yeah.
made him sign the bottom underneath his little logo.
This is those other little
Oh,
um they're
regulators.
regulator. Yeah, it's a what do you call it? Like the mean wells. What kind of volt power supplies the mean well?
Those are regulated. The meanwhiles are
No, but the
switched,
switching, yeah. I guess that's
switched.
this is a switching regulator.
Interesting.
Well, we used to call SSMRs, sometimes switching mode regulator.
Okay.
Sometimes.
I've bought two mean wells for my build. I've got two little mean wells.
And I guess that's what these are too.
Interesting.
This is what David Hansel, who worked on Altair-Duino system.
Yeah.
He tells you to get these things for regulators. But I used them on the Altair-Duino, but I haven't used it on the actual Altair stuff. But I got a whole bag of these things because it turned out if you bought 10 of them, at one time they had a sale. If you bought 10 of them, you got them for half price. So I
Oh.
jumped on it right away and bought 10 of them. And although I don't know if I'll ever get to use them all.
Uh, so yeah, that's pretty cool. So yeah, the regulator question. I've had some question. I want to make sure as I'm still having a problem trying to get um anything working. We'll put it that way. I had good luck. I have a N8 VEM back 9 slot backplane that I soldered up. I hate to say I used a cheap Chinese s- um, edge connectors on it. Probably the first mistake, but they seem to work. And so far, and I think Patrick knows this. The only thing I've ever gotten to run on it was a single board SBC 200. Um, the 200, I think worked on it because it doesn't really go outside of itself. Everything's right on contained there. Serial. The only thing, it even had 1K of memory on it, so it literally could be a whole self-contained thing. And since then, right now I have in here I have a CPU Z, a CompuPro CPU Z in the front. I have Patrick's 88 2 SIO R1 card. I have a Flex 64 RAM card in it. And then I also have a little backplane. You can probably pull it out, it's not plugged in. I've not been able to get a front panel yet, so I'm using one of these little backplane things just so I can have something to see what's happening. And that along with an oscilloscope to make sure what it's telling me is actually, since I solder these up, I don't trust them fully. So using the oscilloscope, I was actually able to see the lines on the CPU and make sure that when it's showing the data out bus at a certain value, I'm getting that on all the pins on the CPU. But so far, I get power on things. I can see lights flashing. The question I had was the ROMs. Essentially, I've gotten down to a point where I've burned the simplest little program, maybe 10, 15 lines to uh, uh, to actually try to enable the SIO card so I can just echo a basic echo type thing, and I have not been able to do it. And the question I had was first, when you're burning the ROM. Yeah, I usually compile it for F000 or assemble it, org F00 and assemble it that way. But when I'm burning it to the ROM, if I use the hex file, I'm using a minus F00, so it writes to the beginning of the ROM chip because I'm usually setting F00 as a starting point for that chip in the um, Flex ROM. Am I doing that wrong? Is that where I'm? Okay,
If,
I see
if
Terry
I
shaking your head. Go
if
ahead.
I understand what you're saying, yeah, you need the 8080 and Z80 tend to be well, Z80 has relative, but you need absolute addressing. So if the ROM is at F000, if you have
Yeah.
any jumps or calls or anything like that, they need to be the F address and not the 0 address.
Okay, so
Yes.
when they're assembled, they have the F address in there.
Right.
But when I'm writing it to the ROM, there's an option to do like an offset, and I'm writing
Relocate.
the
Yeah.
offset.
Yeah.
So is that correct or not correct? We got uh, on the offset.
It
That's kind of. Go ahead.
kind of depends on what what one thing is, it depends on if you have a power on jump circuit.
Yeah.
And if it's set to jump to F000,
Yeah.
then all your addresses need to be absolute inside the ROM that you're burning. In other words,
Okay.
yeah, it needs to be all your addresses need to be whatever they are in the low byte, and then the high byte needs to be F0.
Okay. So I say that this is where I probably misunderstood it. I thought if I put it to the ROM at the beginning of the ROM at 00, even though it's assembled at F0 with so it has the correct addressing, but if I put it at 000, then on the actual Flex RAM 64 card, I set that it's only exposing F00 as its address, as the EEPROM address, then it would jump to that, and that very first byte is F00 when it's jumping there, and I'm having a tough time explaining. Go ahead.
Do you have do you have the 32K EEPROM on the Flex 64K?
Yes, I have it socketed so I can take it off and burn it. I didn't want to use the in program burning right now.
Yeah. So the way it works is, I believe it's 32K.
Yeah.
So it always starts at C00 and goes up to F, NRM memory. So if you want your program to appear at F00, you would actually have to put it at 7,000 on the EEPROM. Is
okay.
Yeah. So
that's where I'm going wrong then with that might be most of my problem right there because everything is power on jump to my address, and okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so just subtract 8,000 from where you want it to be and put it there.
Okay.
And then
go ahead.
And then I don't know if your front panel, does it have a single step or an examine?
It actually, yeah. So the front panel has a stop and then a single step, and then there's not really an examine. You just to see what's on the lights.
Okay.
It's showing a data out, a data in. Though data in always seems to be, again, I soldered it, so who knows the status? But the data in always seems to be all it. The address bus, address lines are all there, and lighting up, and they seem to match when I'm using a oscilloscope on the pins of the processor.
Yeah, because you should be able to see if your program's there. If it's showing F00.
Yeah.
I'm doing the same thing for your SB, your 100 board.
Yeah.
I'm using the Flex board to put the monitor at E000 and the BIOS at F00. So I load them at 6,000 and 7,000 on the EEPROM.
So on the actual FlexRAM card, are you enabling the EEPROM from C00? You're flipping the switches from C00 all the way up, or are you just flipping the E00 switches?
Just the E0 and the F0.
So you're only flipping those switches. Okay, I think that's where I was assuming that if I flipped just F0, that kind of reset it back to it was looking at that ROM at the beginning and associating it with F0, and that's where I'm wrong. Okay.
Yeah, it's not like a start address. It just says which of the pages are you going to actually enable within the 32K.
Yeah. That actually makes a lot more sense. Okay, I think that really, I think that's going to help. I'll try that later on tonight. And I had one other question on, I don't know if anybody else is using this 9-slot board.
Yeah, I am.
Okay, so it has some jumpers in the front. I believe they're to ground. Is it pin 53, 20, and another one?
70.
It says 70. Thanks. And that's the difference between an Altair bus, the older S100 versus the IEEE, I believe was the difference. When I'm running cards like this CompuPro, CompuZ, and the FlexRAM, do I have them jumpered or not? Originally, for the longest time, I didn't even realize they were there. I soldered them all in. I just never, they were unjumpered. And I'm wondering if I need to bother with those.
That's a question for the ages. I do not jumper 20 or 70.
Yeah.
And 53 is more of a question. I tend to leave 53 open as well.
Okay. Yeah, the 53 had the front panel, right?
Anybody else do any different?
No, mine are all open. I didn't. The instructions from Mike never said put any jumpers on.
Okay.
Yeah, the 20 and 7 on the original Altair were used for protect the memory, if I remember correctly, protect and unprotect.
Okay.
In the IEEE, they're used as grounds, additional grounds, because it was thought that there wasn't enough grounding on the bus.
Okay.
To me, it's always safer to leave 20 and 70 open unless you absolutely need it, and nobody ever needs it. 53 is more of a question with interfacing to various other boards. I always leave it open as well, but there's a couple boards that require it, and I don't remember which ones.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, again, I tried it because nothing was working, and I said, "Oh, maybe I forgot to do that," and it wasn't an obvious thing. Okay, that's thank you guys. I think this that my whole issue with the ROM, I think, has been I've just been doing it wrong or looking at it the wrong way.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the Flex, so
Yeah.
Terry, can I ask
Yeah.
you a question then? Obviously, you're doing the same. You've obviously built your board, and I'm still waiting for parts for mine. On the board, there are some fuses, and the fuses relate to the 8-volt plus and the 16-volt plus and minus. On my board, it says that you can wire wrap these out if you want to. You don't have to use them because it says that obviously if you're using a regulated power supply, the mean wells, even though obviously exactly like Terry said, they don't have to be regulated, but I believe the mean wells are regulated. And thus, if they're regulated, are they also okay for over voltage protection, so they'll trip out in the event of a what's the word I'm looking for? Sorry, this is not my first language. If you go to ground, if the current goes to ground, the mean well will trip. So I'm really struggling to find these curious little fuses because first of all, I'm a Cisco HP retired switch engineer. My electronics learning is this curve is well, it's like that really. If I'm honest. But did you do this? Did you find these fuses, or did you wire wrap yours out?
So the first version, I found the fuses, and I say first version, same board. First time, found the fuses, soldered them in, plugged a couple boards in, popped them. And what happened was these are essentially I got a brand new board from the internet, not sure what its status. I didn't really know that I had to check it out more than that. So I popped a few of them, unsoldered that one, put another one. After two times of doing that, I put in straight lines through everything, and I still fuse. I actually went out and got I don't know if they're available where you are. Essentially, just a clear glass fuses.
3HB.
I can. Yeah, thank you. I can again show. So essentially, this is my mess. I call them Frankenstein. But if you look right over there,
mine's going to be that.
I have I have three main wells, and then I have three different fuses right there. And those I've popped them a few times, but those are just glass and they pop out. You can't really see. I don't think you can see down there. Yeah, you can't really see that. I removed the fuses. And actually, these might even be Walter's plan for rails. I don't remember. That's kind of the rails I put on there. I essentially a lot of this stuff's borrowed. So,
Terry, can you throw me that information if I sort of send you my email just out of interest in what you're using? Because I think that might be better for me, to be honest. Because I would rather mount
Joe.
Yeah,
I'm Joe.
Sorry,
Joe. It's all right.
Sorry.
It's all right. It's all right, Paul. Don't stress it.
Yeah.
So what would you like from what I can send you what I have here in the little I got them from Amazon, most of those little pieces.
Yeah, I'm just struggling with the little tiny ones on the board. I've looked around and there's so many different versions of them from MITS fuses, is that right, or something? And then obviously, it's a world of weird. And I'm just your the way you're doing it just seems very, very simple.
What you might want to do to protect yourself in the future is go to eBay or Amazon and buy auto fuse holders. And use those little auto fuses that everybody carries. Go to a local store and try to buy 3AG glass fuses. It's very difficult anymore.
It's getting tough.
You're right, Terry. I've got loads of them because we used to repair motorbikes, and I've got loads of them from my motorbike days. Those little, those little tiny, they're like blade fuses.
Yes.
Yep, the blade
That
fuse. Yeah.
those
Yeah.
would work fine too. I mean, you could probably even
Right.
get by a little bus that
Yeah.
has a bunch, so you could put a few of them and feed them through. That would be work. I went with this because I had a supply of glass fuses already, and I was able to get them. I think I could still order some of them from Amazon, so they're still available at this point. But I think the auto fuses and the little blade ones make sense in that.
By the
Um,
way, if you're
you know.
using, if these were the ones, these orange ones, round orange ones were the ones that you replace, you might not have needed to replace them because they're resettable inside. They
That's them.
Yeah.
I've looked at those resettable ones as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I
So
remember
those
seeing those as an
automatically
option.
reset?
Yeah, there's no push button on them.
So no, the ones I got were little green. They're little green suckers. Those I used. I soldered up one of those riser boards, and it can't, where you can take a card and put it up above the box, and they had those resettable ones like that. So I used them there, but on mine it was these little green fuses. I think Pico or Pico or something. I can't
Yeah,
remember the exact
Pico fuse.
thing. Thank you. Yeah. And I had enough to do it a few more times, but I didn't like resoldering this. The traces on the board were starting to pull up a little bit. It was just got to a point where I said, okay, I can't keep doing this.
Yeah,
Um,
Okay,
so
I'm
guys,
scared of
we
that.
only
That's what
got a
I'm worried
couple more
about.
minutes.
okay. Sorry, I've talked more than enough.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah,
I
well, I'm just
apologize.
gonna let you know that if it cuts out, it's because
Okay.
I got a little warning, says it's gonna
Yeah.
end in 10 minutes, and that was about 7, 8 minutes ago.
Yeah, this is going to become something that, we want to continue to do. I used to have a Zoom account, and I'll get another one so we can go past 40 minutes if people think that this would be helpful to do every now and again.
Yeah, I like it. To me, it comes down to the timing. Right now, today wasn't bad, but I never know on a Sunday afternoon what's happening. You know what I mean? So
Sure.
later evening usually works a little better, but
Well,
that's the only thing for me.
that's one thing we should work on is get a consensus of what's the best time. For me, I don't care. I'm retired. I'm here all the time. I'm not missing.
I'm the same, but I'm across the pond, remember, as you guys like to call it. It's 20 to 10 here at night. So
Right.
Okay,
Well,
so
that's
so
why I
not much
started
later.
earlier, is because I knew there were some people in Europe that might want to
Yeah.
jump in before they go
Okay.
to bed.
I would say then keep this time for a little bit, and we'll see how it goes. If again, if you can't make it, for some reason you can't make it, but in general, it's not a Sunday's better. I'm not a big sports fan. I tend to watch NASCAR, to be honest with you, which is the rest of it I don't worry about too much. So I'm not missing anything, games or anything.
Yeah.
Just the Titans.
There you are.
So I got a question. The mean wells, I was under the understanding that the mean wells, they'll cut off if there's too much current being pulled out of them. Is that right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think
I don't
so.
remember, that was something I heard a few years ago. So I just put straight wires on my backplanes.
Yeah, again,
I haven't had any major shorts to test it.
for me, it was a few cards from eBay. You never know what you're going to get when you get them. I did find a document. I think John might have posted it. Telling you how to test a card or something, going through and checking the regulators and checking a few things. So that's been helpful. It saved me a lot of more fuses, but
I watched for the as is on the eBay listing. Because as is kind of a warning. This thing's probably going to blow up in your face.
The problem is virtually all the S100 stuff is as is.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I've managed to get boards where the guy
100%,
says it's tested and working.
Yeah.
I bought this one guy up in Minnesota. He sold me a whole bunch of boards for like $36 each.
Yeah.
And Joe, I think both your SBC 100s are working.
Oh, awesome.
I think what I've run into now is software problems, not hardware.
So you don't need to get them back. Keep playing till you get yourself one. I know you want an SBC 200 is what you're interested in, but if those are helping you move along with what you wanted to play with, hold on to them for now.
Oh yeah, especially learning the differences between the two.
Yeah.
So my rabbit hole is, I don't know, about a year ago, I just learned about SDSystems SDOS, which I guess was a CP/M compatible type of operating system they made themselves. So I was curious about it. Couldn't find it anywhere. No images, no anything. It like didn't exist. So on eBay, um,
Oh, wow.
this just happened to show up. So I got it, and of course I don't have any SDSystems hardware, so went to the Altair simulator and wrote a VersaFloppy 2 device for it and an SBC 200 device for it, and I was able to actually get that. John Monahan made a wonderful VersaFloppy tool to read and write, to look at disks and that sort of thing. So I basically added a X modem transfer to that, so it would read the disk, send it over X modem. So I made an Altair Z80 disk image off that disk. Got it to where it looked like it was loading, but it wasn't doing anything. So that's when I learned what the little V means on all their labels. It means it's for the VDM.
Yeah.
And it was like, so with the Altair Z80, it's like, okay, what's it doing? Control E, single step, why is it looking at port 0? So instead of the 7DC stuff. So anyways, figured that out, found the bytes to kind of change on the diskette to tell it to use the the serial port instead of the VDM port. And now it comes up on the simulator. Well, I'm having an interesting problem. So I have it now where it's booting the boot sector off the floppy disk. It looks like it's loading SDOS, and then it's in some loop somewhere reading 7D, trying to find out, waiting for a character to come in or something. And I've figured out, well, why is it not working? Because the monitor works fine. So I know the serial port works.
The 7D, was that? I know it does something. It waits for you to hit enter a few times to get the baud rate. It does auto
Yeah,
baud
I've tried
detection.
enter anyway. So I finally ended up, and the interesting thing, I'm not being able to have a front panel. I'm just like, oh my gosh, how do you do this? So I figured out if I get memwrite, I just copy or put a tape over the pin. So now I at least have single step, and I can stop and run, and the memory works and all that stuff. But the problem is if it's accessing the serial port on the board, it doesn't put any of that information on the bus. So I finally got the oscilloscope out. And anyways, when I look at the UART, there's no clock running to the UART. So I think what it's trying to do is trying to transmit, and it's just sitting there saying, "Yep, I got to transmit." It just never runs. So I'm trying to find out where in software it's not setting the clock generator right for that, because it's probably not doing it because of the VDM didn't need it. So anyways,
Yeah, we're almost out of time, I think, right?
Can you watch it with a bus display board? Can you see anything there?
I got a Jade one, and it's been kind of helpful, not helpful. What I